Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today is going to be a little bit different. We always talk about different health issues and things you can do in your day-to-day life to help your body overcome different health issues. And today's no different, but it is in a way because we're going to go into, one of the pinnacles, something that has changed my health and has changed a lot of other people's health. And basically what I'm talking about is functional lab work, right? So many people aren't quite familiarized yet with this whole idea of functional medicine, functional nutrition. And that's okay because it's a relatively new field, but unfortunately that's a barrier for a lot of people, right? We don't want people to be intimidated by a process because they're not familiarized with it. And so today I'm going to take you through a lab that we often use with our coaching clients to help them identify underlying causes of some of the issues they're dealing with. And so from there, it actually helps us put together a more solid plan, and it actually improves our success, right? So first of all, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Michael Dugan. I'm a health coach with drjockers.com. You can find me under the coaching tab right here, Michael FDNP. That's Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioner. And so, I got into this because, I was dealing with a lot of my own health issues. And so actually going through some of these lab tests on myself helped me identify a lot of my own underlying issues and help resolve those. So anyways, we're going to go into the organic acids test. And as you can see, this is our lab testing page. And we really offer a wide variety of lab tests, right? For anything from looking at your thyroid health to your sex hormones with these male and female comprehensive panels. We can look at your digestive health, specific micronutrients that are in your blood that may need to be addressed, and all kinds of things. These are really great, and they all offer their own benefits. But for a lot of people, there's also this barrier of money, right? So when you choose to take your health into your own hands, and you're working with a functional nutrition or medical practitioner, then that there's going to be that barrier, right? It's not covered by insurance oftentimes, and so this is out of pocket. The good thing though is that long term, and many people don't think about this, is that it'll actually save you a lot of money from keeping you out of the hospital and things like that as you get older. And so for people who are just really struggling with really really tough conditions, and they're just tired of going to see different doctors and different even different natural health practitioners, and they just really want to get to the bottom of their health issues once and for all. We have this foundational 5, and this is just a super comprehensive set of 5 tests that really just gives us just so much information to work from. But a lot of people just can't, that panel or that set of panels is actually relatively expensive, and so people can't really afford that. So what's awesome about the organic acids test we have right here is that it's a single test that provides a lot of insight into the body. So people come to me and they say, I'd like to get some lab work done, but I can't do these 2 or 3 that you recommend. So what would you say is the best one? And it's almost always this comprehensive organic acids test. And that's because it's a simple urine test. It shows up at your door. It shows up to your door. It comes with instructions. You follow the instructions. You send it back. All the postage is included. And within a few weeks, sometimes even within a week, we'll get the results of that. And so that's someone like me could go through those results with you, identify what we're looking at, what it can mean in terms of underlying issues in your health, and we can get together and make a plan from that. And so, what does this test measure? This is a super comprehensive test. It measures metabolites in your urine, so we can look at different vitamins. So things like B vitamins are really important for things like methylation, which is important for repairing damaged DNA, getting rid of toxins in the body, and a whole slew of things. So it's really important. We can look at amino acid deficiencies, or not so much deficiencies, but signs of deficiencies. And so that can give us insights into how well you're digesting your food, and things of that nature. You look at things like antioxidant levels. So the oxidative stress, as we know, is one of the biggest it's one of the biggest causes of chronic inflammation, which is underlying almost all of the chronic diseases that people are dealing with today. And so, like I said, this test is just super valuable. And so other things it looks at is we look at neurotransmitters. So these are things that are released in the brain and even some in the gut that actually regulate our mood and our motivation, our ability to focus, and all these things. And a lot of people come to me and they're like, I have brain fog, or I just don't feel motivated. I feel like my mood is unstable. And so looking at these things can be really helpful for that. And like, for example, if we see like dopamine is, or there's signs that dopamine's out of balance, or serotonin, or something like that, we can get into a certain nutritional therapies and supplement protocols and things to maybe help balance that out, and just help you stabilize your mood a little bit. Because a lot of people, they just struggle getting healthy because they just can't. They don't feel mentally stable enough to put in the changes day in and day out. And so looking at things like that can help you actually change and get better long term. And then, so mitochondrial function is probably one of the most important things you could look at in a person, because, they produce all the energy for your cells in your body. And so kind of like chronic inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic inflammation, and all of the chronic diseases we see today kind of go hand in hand. You see, so things like diabetes, obesity, cancer, neurological issues, all these things often have chronic inflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction in their scope. And so that's a really important marker to look at. And so, as you can see, it just touches on so many things, right? And one last thing I forgot to mention is it looks at signs of bacterial balance or imbalance in the gut, which is incredibly important as well. And so you can see, conditions that could benefit from this test. They're just so wide ranging because of the foundational things that these markers signify, such as mitochondrial function or chronic inflammation. So that can tie into things like mood changes, like I said, weight gain. Autoimmune conditions are often rooted in chronic inflammation and a lot of gut issues. And same thing goes with, eczema, acne, dermatitis, anxiety, all these things. And so it's just a super comprehensive test for, basically it cuts down the cost a lot and gives a really good picture of what's going on. And so that can help us with a lot of things. So actually, I'm going to go into what a test looks like, and just kind of and show you what we would be looking at. And so don't worry, you wouldn't have to be looking at this and go through it yourself and have to understand everything that's going on. That's more our job here. And we go through it. We do our investigative process, and then we share those results with you, try to make sense of it for you. And then that's when we get started on a coaching plan to put together something that can just really help you just reach your potential in life and health. And so this is an actual organic acids test, right? So this is like a sample test. And so I'm just going to go through it. And you can actually see it's broken up into sections. So this first area of markers is yeast and fungal markers that could point out things like candida, potentially. And so looking at something like, you see this arabinose marker is really high. So that one's actually really sensitive. And so we like to see like multiple of these elevated, now to actually signify that there's some kind of yeast or fungal issue going on in the body. And once we see something like that, we obviously have foundational things we address first on the coaching plan, right? We need to make sure that somebody's stable, that they're energetically stable. So getting their blood sugar balanced and all these things that we like to do first. But then, if we were looking at this test and we saw that multiple of these markers were elevated and that potentially we're dealing with a candida overgrowth or some other kind of yeast or fungal overgrowth, then maybe we need to use some gentle antimicrobials for 30 to 60 days, along with a solid probiotic, right? So that can really help guide our approach. And so, next is pretty similar. We got bacterial markers. And so that these are basically byproducts of certain bacteria that we can find in the digestive tract. And so finding these can be really important, especially things like C. difficile and, all these other specific strains of bacteria that often cause a lot of problems for people. So that's really important. That would be kind of a similar approach to the yeast or fungal overgrowth, is that we could use, after we get the person stabilized, we get their blood sugar stable, that kind of thing, then we can focus on using, antimicrobials and probiotics to help rebalance that. And then even some like gut healing strategies and improving digestion and that kind of thing can all be really helpful. So next we got oxalates. And these are kind of like a misunderstood food, phytochemicals or phytonutrient, right? Nutrients that we find in foods, often in leafy green vegetables, right? And so for some people, they tolerate them really well, and for other people, not so much. And it can actually act as a mitochondrial toxin and cause things like fatigue and weight gain and things like that. And, particularly brain fog and kidney stones and, whole slew of issues. And so you could actually, for some people, maybe it's better not to have a whole lot of salads on a daily basis, or just take some extra steps to help improve your body metabolize oxalates, right? So that's another important marker. Next, we have these several markers of mitochondrial health, right? So we got our glycolytic cycle. We have these Krebs cycle metabolites. We have amino acids. And so these all give us insight into basically if our body is burning sugar or is burning ketones for a primary source of energy, whether or not, our mitochondria are functioning properly. And like I said earlier, mitochondrial dysfunction is very common with chronic diseases, things like diabetes, obesity, cancer, even like autoimmune diseases, all these things. And so all these markers really important. Looking for multiple of those elevated would really signify some issues there. And so this is a multifaceted approach, right? So if you see some of these things high, there would also be a kind of a questioning or that would have to go on between, someone like me, the health coach, and the other person to kind of confirm what we're looking at. And, for example, going back here, actually, no, let's go down to amino acid metabolites or nutritional markers, either way. Amino acid metabolites, if we saw that a bunch of these were high or really low, for example, that could mean your digestion is poor, right? So you're not absorbing the amino acids as well as you should. And so that can cause a lot of problems because you use amino acids to, repair damaged tissue and make neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin and all kinds of things. And so, maybe your digestion is off. And so we'd ask you, do you have a lot of indigestion? Do you get a lot of gas and bloating? And then, so that can signify different things, and that can help us put together, the specific targeted approach for you. Right, so that's huge. Next is we have neurotransmitter metabolites, and this is where we could see, are there signs that there's a dopamine imbalance or norepinephrine and epinephrine? So, maybe this person's chronically stressed. They have chronically elevated cortisol. And we could ask them, hey, do you have a really stressful life? Do you feel like you're anxious a lot and all this stuff? And then, that person says, yeah. And so we can go, okay, so here's some things you could do to maybe balance that out. And then we could see kind of how that affects the person going forward. And I just want to reiterate something, as targeted and as targeted as this approach is, it's still a working process. If you decide to work with a functional nutrition or functional medicine coach, then you have to understand that, your body's been building a lot of diseases, or it's been working its way to the state it's in right now as a result of years and years of your lifestyle choices, whether it's your diet or chronic stress and all these things, or even like exposure to certain toxins. There could be a whole list of things, but you have to understand that, there's no supplement or miracle food that's actually going to correct these overnight, and it's actually going to be, a long-term lifestyle change that's really going to get those remarkable results that we see with certain people. And so just understand that. And so I love working with those people that are just come in and they're like, okay, I understand I'm gonna have to change some things. And I've been, sometimes even people are saying they've been trying it on their own and they just need some guidance. And so that's why I'm here to help you go through this investigative process and just help put together a solid targeted plan so that you're not stuck in this cycle of trial and error trying to fix everything on your own. Because I was at that in that stage myself at one point as well, before I got into functional medicine or functional nutrition in my case. So anyways, we're looking at neurotransmitter metabolites. And so, that can go back to amino acids, right? If we scroll down, we look at the amino acids, we can see, a bunch of these are low. So we need to, maybe that's why we're not producing enough specific neurotransmitters. So we need to support digestion, and that maybe that will actually support your mood. And so there's multiple factors to consider. So next we have these pyrimidine metabolites. So these are these folate markers are pretty important for indicators of methylation, as I kind of discussed earlier. So important for repairing damaged DNA, detoxification. If you have poor methylation, you're going to have, lots of, some people have histamine issues. So like they'll seem to react to a lot of things like fermented foods and all kinds of things. And so that can be a really telling marker. So next we have ketone and fatty acid oxidation. This kind of goes back to the mitochondrial thing. And so this can tell us, whether your body's in a fat burning or a sugar burning state. And as we know, at this point, being a chronic sugar burner is not really how we're intended to live our lives. And that can cause a lot of problems. Chronic inflammation is just one that creates a lot of its own problems right there. But these blood sugar fluctuations can throw off your mood, can make you really reliant and hyper focused on your next meal. You get that hangry feeling, a couple hours after you eat, and then your blood sugar drops. All these things, and so we, in most cases, we want people to actually be able to effectively utilize ketones or fatty acids as an energy source, because getting people into that fat burning state is very therapeutic. It's very, very good for boosting mitochondrial function, lowering inflammation, and really just supporting the body and pushing it into this healing state that many people are just having such a hard time getting into. Right. So like, because, when you think about it, the body has its own innate intelligence. It knows what kind of state it wants to be in. It's always trying to achieve optimal health on its own. And the only reason it's not able to do that is when there are interferences in the way, such as like a poor diet or chronic stress or certain toxins, all these kind of things. So, or being a chronic sugar burner. And so we take care of those issues, and the body will kind of take the wheel in that regard and seem to really balance itself out pretty well. So, and then, like I said, you look at these specific nutritional markers can be really important too. B vitamins for methylation, among many other things. Vitamin C for immunity and antioxidant abilities and whatnot. And so vitamin C can be telling, and it could be low intake, poor digestion. It could be too much sugar in the diet, actually inhibiting your ability to utilize vitamin C. All kinds of things. And then these two markers right here, CoQ10 and glutathione, or N-acetylcysteine, which is a precursor to glutathione, are important mitochondrial markers. They basically help to show the antioxidant capacity of your body, which is really important, and really just mitochondrial function as well. Okay. Next, we have indicators of detoxification. Right, so that kind of goes back to this glutathione precursor as well, but looking at glutathione markers and ammonia byproducts and these other detoxification byproducts can really be really insightful for how well your body's detoxifying itself. So if we find that these are super off, maybe we need to support glutathione production in the body, support the liver, and just support the natural detoxification process in the body. And sometimes even that alone can be super therapeutic for people. It all just depends on the individual and their specific needs. Okay, so amino acids, we kind of looked at this already. This would be a good indicator of how well somebody's digesting their food. If they're having a ton of digestive issues, we could support their stomach acid production. We could maybe use enzymes for a short amount of time to help restore balance there. Using different, maybe like a probiotic could help, or all different kinds of things, or using apple cider vinegar before meals. So, and then even some cases, people who are just really struggling, we could even use supplemental amino acids or bone broth or something like that, and that can be super therapeutic. So amino acids are a really big one. We actually very often see that these markers are off, and that's because most people are dealing with these digestive issues. That can come from just a poor diet in general, eating lots of inflammatory foods like wheat and grains and sugar and alcohol and things of that nature, or lots of non-organic foods with herbicides and pesticides on them that are pretty inflammatory to the gut. Just over time, you lose that ability to really just digest effectively. Or maybe these people drink a lot of fluids with their meals, and that can dilute your stomach acid and enzymes. So another important factor to consider. So finally, we have this phosphoric marker that kind of shows difference. It's kind of an indicator of bone health. Ideally, we'd also want to see vitamin D levels, which would be found on the this complete thyroid report. And so those two together are like a super 1-2 combo that can be super valuable as well. Sorry about that. So those two, I would almost say that the complete thyroid report is like a very close second to the comprehensive organic acids test in terms of its value. Organic acids test beats out a little bit just because of its diversity of what it shows. But, so as you can see, it just gives us so much information. And this is our most popular test. It's what most people do. And if they ask for the one test that's going to be, the most valuable to them when they can't afford to do multiple tests, or they just are not ready to spend that money, maybe they're new to functional nutrition, functional medicine, then, this is a great start. This is a great foot in the door. And so, that's pretty much what it looks like. And so I would go through that. I'd look at all these markers, write down my thoughts and interpretations on the data. I would send that over to you in an email. We'd get on a phone call. With every test, we do a free follow-up call. It's about 15 minutes to talk about the results. And then, a lot of people choose to go on and do, coaching, because they go, okay, I have all these indicators of different things going on in my body, and maybe I just don't really, I'm a really busy person, and I just feel like maybe I can't put this plan together on my own. And that's when I come in and I can actually put together a comprehensive plan for you with nutritional recommendations, sometimes supplements and supplement plans that can be used to really just enhance the healing process, and all kinds of things, even different lifestyle things that you can do on a day-to-day basis to just improve your body's ability to heal. And so, I hope that was insightful for you guys. If you're new to this area of functional medicine, functional nutrition, and you just maybe don't understand it, you're a little bit hesitant, I understand. And so I just want to offer my expertise in this area. And if you are looking to get into this process, right, if you're dealing with your own health problems and you really want to get to the bottom of them, then I offer a free 10 to 15 minute intro call. You can call me. Send me an email. Send me an email at michael@drjockers.com, and then we can set up that initial call. We can cover some of your initial concerns. I can kind of clarify any questions you might have, and we can go from there. If you'd like to get on a coaching plan, as many people end up doing, then we can do that as well. We can get that set up and just really get you on the road towards reaching your full potential in life and health. And that's really what I'm here for. That's my passion. And so if you are, if you're interested in this, definitely reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer your questions. And if there's anything maybe that I didn't describe quite clearly for you in this video, feel free to reach out to me with that as well. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you have a great week.